What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I just wanted to take a second to say thank you for clicking on the video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful time watching. I also wanted to put in that I really hope you guys hit the subscribe button down below, as it helps out the channel so much. And right now, only 4.2% of viewers are actually subscribed, so please, if you could take a second to make sure that you did hit that red button, it really helps out a ton. As well as comment down below what kind of decks you guys want me to see next, and I'll make sure that I can try and get them covered just for you guys. So I do try and pay attention to all the comments, and I hope you all have a wonderful time. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we are going over an Hydrapple EX deck list. We have covered Hydrapple on the channel before, but this list is very, very powerful, and I would love to share this with you guys. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. Now, we do have a 4-3-3 line of Hydrapple EX itself, which in some cases could be our primary attacker, which has 330 HP. Ripening Charge lets us attach a basic grass from our hand to one of our Pokemon, healing 30 damage from it. And then Syrup Storm for 2 colorless deals 30 damage, but also 30 more for each grass attached to all of your Pokemon. So that attack can obviously scale up really quickly. And then Ripening Charge can heal away things like Monkey Dory damage. So a very powerful attacker and ability in that sense. Now, the other attacker that we're going to be shifting our eyes towards will be its Prevo. So the Stage 1 Dipplin with Festival Lead. Now, Festival Lead lets you attack twice so long as the Festival Grounds Stadium is in play. And since you're attacking twice, you're going to be doing some damage. And then your opponent, if you knocked out their active, will promote, and then you will do it again. Now, unfortunately, this does mean that resistance basically negates it twice. So a little bit of a nerf in that sense, but definitely can be very, very viable, especially for getting quick games, especially when your opponent's having a hard time. And then Do the Wave itself for 1 grass deals 20 damage for each of your benched Pokemon. So a max of 100 damage when there's no big bench in play, which obviously Festival Grounds needing to be in play means that you won't have access to Area 0. So 100 damage coming from Do the Wave, so 200 after its second attack. Now, there's obviously other modifiers, but that's going to be the primary damage. And then we have 4 copies of this Applin. We did go for a 40 HP grass-type Applin. This way we can target it with Bug Catching Set. And we chose the Tumbling Attack one because for 1 grass, you do 10 damage, but you flip a coin. If heads, it deals 20 more. We choose this one because it has the potential to one-shot Budew if you flip heads, so that's why we chose to go with this one. And that's it for our primary attacking line, so to speak. As for other Pokemon in the deck, we have 3 copies of Teal Mask Ogerpon in here, so we can draw extra cards, as well as accelerate energy with Teal Dance, which lets you attach a basic grass from your hand to that Pokemon and draw a card. And Myriad Leaf Shower is actually also a very viable attack here. For 3 grass energy, you're going to deal 30 damage, and then 30 more for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. So again, another attack that can scale pretty high depending on the matchup. And then we got 1 copy of Fezandipiti in here for Flip the Script. 1 copy of Mew EX, mostly looking to hit into like walls and stuff like that because of genome hacking. Can hit into things like Mimikyu, as well as Cornerstone Ogerpon, while a lot of the rest of this deck does struggle, especially with Cornerstone. Has been a pretty big one. So Mew is in here to try and fix that. Then we got 1 copy of Budew, obviously trying to get that off. Going second on our first turn can be really, really impactful, as well as it gives us a free retreat option. So just kind of nice to have in there. And then the interesting tech that this deck has is going to be a 1-2 line of Toadscruel. Now, we have Toadscool here, the 60 HP one, with Spore is just what I prefer because you sleep your opponent's active. And then we have 1 copy of Toedscruel non-EX with Slime Mold Colony. This is primarily in here for Goldango, which has been seeing a very big rise in post-rotation and coming up close to rotation here. So for those who don't know, Slime Mold Colony means that cards in your opponent's discard pile, specifically energy cards in that particular matchup, can't be put into their hand by effect of your opponent's abilities or trainer cards. So things like Lana's Aid, things like Night Stretcher, things like Superior Energy Retrieval. All of those are going to be locked down by Slime Mold Colony, and so this is a very powerful ability in that matchup. But let's say it's not that matchup, and it's one of the other most popular matchups in the meta, Dragapult. Well, that's what Toedscruel EX is in here for. With Protective Mycelium, you prevent all damage from attacks used by your opponent's all effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to your Pokemon that have an energy attached. So this basically acts as a mist energy for all of your energy in play. Really looking at that those 6 damage counters that are going to be placed by your opponent's Dragapult is primarily what this is in here for. And then Colony Rush is also a very viable attack. For 2 grass, it deals 80 damage, but then 40 more damage for each of your benched Pokemon that have any grass attached. So obviously, between attaching with our Teal Mask, spreading out some energy with our Hydrapples, we're going to have plenty of energy in play to use Protective Mycelium, as well as scale that damage for Colony Rush. So we do see a bit of a tech coverage. Now, we only have the one Toadscruel because we're going to evolve based on the matchup. So that's what that's in there for. And that's all the Pokemon. So let's head on over to the trainer cards. We got obviously 4 copies of Bug Catching Set is super important. You get to look at the top 7 cards of your deck, reveal any 2 combination of Grass Pokemon and Basic Grass Energy, and add them to your hand. So being able to cut through your deck, grabbing all of your Grass Pokemon and Energy is going to be super nice. You're almost always hitting with these Bug Catching Sets. It's really, really nice. Then we got 2 copies of Festival Grounds in here, so we can utilize that Festival Lead attack. Our A-Spec is going to be Maximum Belt, primarily looking to put it on a Dipplin using Festival Lead, because obviously this is going to make that Do the Wave go from 100 damage to 150 on those EX Pokemon, as well as, since you're attacking twice, now we're going from a base stat of 200 up to 300, so taking a lot more vital knockouts with this Max Belt on that Dipplin. Then we got 1 copy of Rare Candy, so in case we have to, we can go from Applin straight to Dipplin. More times than not, we don't have to use this, but it is in here just in case. Then we got 2 copies of Nest Ball, 2 copies of Boss's Orders, 2 Ionos, 3 copies of Arven to search our deck for item and a tool, 3 copies of Professor's Research so we can cut through that deck a little faster, 1 copy of TM Evo, so if we have to quickly get out a Toadscruel line, that is what that's going to be in there for primarily, as well as be able to get our Dipplins online nice and quick if we end up going second. Then we got 1 copy of Super Rod for recovery, 3 copies Buddy-Buddy Poffin, 1 Ultra Ball, 2 Earthen Vessels, and 1 Colress Tenacity, so we can really try and find those Festival Grounds a little bit easier. And then we just have straight 12 Grass Energy as the energy for this deck, and that's the whole 60. So let's hop on into these playtests here. Hopping into our playtest here for our Hydrapple EX deck. Now, unfortunately, we see a Flareon coin, so hopefully that's not the case. Hitting us for weakness would not be great, but I guess we'll just roll with the punches. See a Tails on the coin flip, so our opponent gets to choose. Now, we could definitely go first, and we could go second. Honestly, I'm not even sure which one this deck rather would. Obviously, we only have 1 TM Evo and 1 Budew, but they are very, very powerful, and it looks like we do have a Budew in our starting hand if the game will let me play it there. So it does look like it is going to be one of those Flareon decks, an Evolution. So going to be able to go Itchy Pollen, which is nice. They do get some EVs down right away. I wonder if they'll be able to Fan Rotom this turn. Attach to the benched Eevee, and pass. Alright, so not a lot going on from our opponent on their first turn. Obviously, they have a Hoot Hoot and Vicatinis down, which isn't great. So, what is going to be our course of action here? I think we're going to be going Arven here, or either we could go Bug Catching Set. How many? We do have all 3 of our Teal Masks in deck. Now, we could guarantee one with a Nest Ball, but I think we're going to go for a Bug Catching Set, risk it a little bit. It looks like our TM Evo is also going to be prized, so let's go Bug Catching Set here and find a Teal Mask and Energy. Go ahead, drop that in, and get drawn here. We do find an Applin for the bench. I think we Ultra Ball away Hydrapple Energy for another Teal Mask. Now, unfortunately, neither of our Toadscruels are going to be super impactful in this particular matchup, which is okay. It's not the end of the world. Should we go for the third? I don't think we will, just because then we're going to have to Vessel away our Max Belt. And we have a Applin down, so I think we're just going to Itchy Pollen here and let it go over to our opponent. Now we do miss an attachment for turn, but we do move energy pretty quickly with this deck, so now we could have vesseled away the max belt and not only seen another card, but whatnot. Now our opponent does have their Noctowl in hand, which is a bit unfortunate, having that Terra Eevee and Noctowl. But let's see what they can do with it here. Obviously, they only have 3 cards left in their hand, so we might see an Iono, but they do grab Boss's Orders and Sparkling Crystal. I almost wonder if they're going to try and go 2-2-2 with the Teal masks, in which case a Festival Grounds kind of approach might be best for us. A bit interesting that they had Arven in hand and still chose to grab Crystal as one of their things. They grab a Switch and Defiance Band, so I think it was a bit of a waste to grab the Crystal. And they are just going to pass because they can't switch into their Eevee thanks to Budew here. Now, I think since our Toadscruel isn't going to be any use to us, we're going to go ahead, get rid of that for 2 energy. Off of this Nest Ball, I'm thinking we are going to grab another Teal Mask Ogerpon here, be able to get a little bit more energy in play. Because I'm thinking Max Belt's going to be going on Applin this turn, and then we're going to be ripping a Research. Getting rid of an Iono. Do we Teal Dance first? I don't think we will. I think we're just going to attach to our Applin, put the Max Belt on there, and go for a Professor's Research. Okay, there's quite a bit going on in this hand. Let's drop an Applin in. Bug Catching Set, hopefully grabbing some energy, and we do find 2. But I think we're actually going to grab 1 energy, 1 Dipplin, just to get that evolution down as well, and still be able to Teal Dance here. Now, if we can find a Festival Leads, or a Festival Grounds, excuse me, we would have been taking Knockout there, as well as 100 damage to whatever they promote. Obviously, Knockout on Vicatini, or just chipping into their Eevee would have been nice. But we do just go Itchy Pollen here. Obviously, we know they have Switch in hand, so we're going to force them to do Attach Retreat in order to get an attack off. And if they don't get it off this turn, I'm thinking we're going to go into... Do we even go into Hydrapple in this situation, or do we just Iono? I didn't check to see if we had Festival Grounds prized or not, or if so, how many. But I think now that they're at 5 cards in their hand, we are just going to Iono that Switch back in and then get an attack off. I think we will go into Hydrapple just in case we don't find Festival Grounds. But on the same hand, I suppose Flareon only hits for 260 with its first attack, and then they wouldn't have any energy in play. I'm just debating, because if this Eevee goes into Flareon and then Carnelians, which it definitely could because of the Crystal, then they're going to be taking a lot. I think we are just going to risk the Iono right away, hoping to find a Festival Grounds. Getting rid of that Switch for them. And we don't find a Festival Grounds this turn yet. We definitely could still Teal Dance into it. Let's see. Would be nice. We kind of cut through the deck, and it doesn't look like we're going to see it this turn. So we'll just go for an Itchy Pollen. That's okay. We got rid of their Switch, and even if they still had it, this Itchy Pollen is going to stay strong because of that lack of other attacking. So really showing the power of Budew in any deck, realistically, but it's really nice with this one because there are just certain pieces that you got to kind of figure out, whether that being getting enough energy in play that your Hydrapple is going to be an effective attacker, or getting your hands on a Festival Grounds, which we are going to be able to do with the help of Colress Tenacity. And here comes a Flareon EX, which is going to be hitting us for weakness. 270 HP. That's quite a bit. They are just going to go for a Professor's Research now. They are still under item lock, so that is their supporter. They are going to need an energy for this Noctowl. They bench a Hoot Hoot. Play a Gravity Mountain. Do we see anything else from our opponent? They do have the energy, so they are just going to attach retreat their Flareon, or their Noctowl into their Flareon and take a knockout here. I imagine they're going to Burning Charge. No sense in using Carnelian on this little Budew. The question is, are they going to get something on the bench that their energy will be useful towards? Like another Eevee. Now, because of this Max Belt and this Colress Tenacity, we are actually going to be taking Knockout on this Flareon, which is kind of bizarre to think about. And they do actually go for the Carnelian. Oh no, sorry. Selecting cards from their deck. They did go for Burning Charge. I'm sorry. 300 damage. Oh, because of the Vicatinis. Sorry, I was so confused. I was like, why did that deal 300 damage? But that's right. The two Vicatinis bring it up to 150, and then Weakness brings it to 300. Now, this Dipplin plus Colress is going to be taking Knockout on their Flareon, leaving them with Hoot Hoots and Noctowls and Vicatinis. So, thankfully, they don't have anywhere to really put this energy other than onto a Vicatini, which does deal Weakness for us. But it's not the end of the world. Pretty comfortable spot. Okay, so now as long as let's check with this Nest Ball here. Probably grab a Fez because we already have that. Yeah, we'll grab a Fez here. And we do have Festival Grounds in deck. Let's see if we can draw into it organically. And we do not. So we're just going to go for the Colress Tenacity, grab it out of the deck there. As well as one energy. Go ahead, bump their Gravity Mountain. Should we Rare Candy into Hydrapple? We only have 15 cards left in deck. We have enough energy in play. 2, 4, 6. I mean, 9 energy is needed to knock out a Flareon. I think we'll go for it. Why not? We're actually going to be able to heal damage with this Hydrapple because Vicatini, after Weakness, is only going to deal 60 damage to Dipplin. So obviously we deal the first attack, and then we're going to be able to attack again because we got that Festival Grounds in play, taking Knockout for 2 prizes here. Now, obviously, you only need the 1 turn because of boosted evolution. For Eevee, you can just go straight into. Oh, they used the Terra Eevee. Well, the non-EX Eevee, you can just go straight into your next evolution, which obviously with this deck is going to be Flareon. I imagine they have either Jolteon or Leafeon as the partner. So, them not getting the basic down is more or less nice because they had to accelerate energy to Vicatini instead of to that other Eevee and make it too big of a threat for the attacking. Now, obviously, Crispin is in the game, so they are going to Super Rod back their Flareon as well as some energy here. Now, the item lock is obviously going to be lifted. They did take out that Budew. We're down to 14 cards in deck. These bug catchers are going to see whatever they need to see. They're going to Nest Ball out an Eevee. The question is, do they have Evolution Crispin in hand, or are they attacking with Vicatini's Flare? In which case, we're going to be taking another 2 knockouts because of Do the Wave. Because Victory Cheer only boosts the damage of Evolution Fire Pokemon. So, here's an Earthen Vessel. They already used their attachment for turn, so looks like we are going to be taking another 2 prize cards here. They are going to Iono us. That's okay. We lose those bug catching sets, but not the end of the world. There, we find another Festival Grounds in case they get the bump. as well as a Grass Energy. Dropping a Fez, they're going to draw a few more cards here. Yep, flip the script. Not really sure what my opponent is looking to do. Now, obviously, they can't Hoot because they don't have a Terra in play at this point. Obviously, they could retreat into the Boosted Evolution Eevee and get a Terra in that way, but they would really be hurting themselves on that front. And like I said, they're only going to be dealing 60 damage after that, after weakness is applied. And we're not really needing this Super Rod too bad. Healing doesn't change a whole lot because I imagine they're just going to go Flareon attack this next turn. So I think we're going to start powering up. Hydrapple is going to be the play. Yeah, we can just attach onto it, I think, as opposed to using a Teal Mask to draw cards. And then we'll go ahead and do the wave, which only deals 100 damage because Vicatini is not a EX Pokemon, but as you see, all of their non-EXs also have 100 or less HP. So the only thing that they can promote and survive here is going to be that Fez, damaging it heavily. And it looks like they're going to give us the Hoot Hoot. So this is going to take away their access for another Noctowl. I think this is a bit of a misplay on my opponent. I almost wonder if they didn't realize that I got to attack again, which happens a lot. People forget about Festival Grounds quite frequently. They should have given me either the Fez so they could tank it or the Noctowl there. And here they're going to go into Eevee, which we have Vessel and Energy in hand. And like I said, we need 9 energy in order to take a knockout on a full HP Flareon. So I do think this is about going to wrap it up. They're going to take knockout on this Dipplin, I imagine. But there's a chance they don't. But they don't have Crispin, so, or they don't have Crystal. They would need Crispin Evolution in order, actually no, because they would also need Boss. They'd need Counter Catcher, they would need Flareon, and they would need Crispin in order to take out this Hydrapple, which I don't think they have because they just got their energy out of the deck with Earthen Vessel. Which I don't think we've seen a Crispin yet from my opponent. I wonder if they run it. I imagine they would, playing all these different energy types. They're going to attach to their Eevee here, not putting a fire energy on it. So they're not even going to be able to... I suppose they could go Reckless Charge here. Vaporeon. That's an interesting one. 60 damage to all EX Pokemon not affected by weakness or resistance. I wonder if that's increased by the Defiance Band. I'm not even sure how that works. I guess we'll see in a second when they use it. Severe Squall. Nope. And since our Teal Masks are Terra, they don't even get the value out of that. So we don't even need to go into Hydrapple here. We're just going to be able to do the wave twice for the last 2 prize cards. So didn't even have to use Hydrapple in this matchup, which is a bit interesting, especially because typically they're going to be hitting us for weakness. There's that Technical Machine Evolution we were looking for. Well, not necessarily looking for, but noticed it was missing. Okay, this just happened in the previous recording as well. I think I might have a bit of an issue with my recorder. Every time I exit a game, it crashes on me. So, like I was saying, a matchup that typically we're getting hit for weakness pretty badly, we just kind of have no issue against. Now, we didn't get to see the Toadscruel tech in there. We didn't even get to see Hydrapple, but we are at 17 minutes of just the battle recording. So, I think I am going to cut the video there. And feel free to ask any questions about the deck list down in the comments, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and make sure to like and subscribe. Peace out.